What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, and today we're talking about Xbox and the console wars in general, because a bunch of new quotes and new numbers have been released that showed that the Xbox is basically already completely dead. This is not the beginning of the end when it comes to Xbox. I think it is the end of the end. There will be no new Xbox. There will be no more sequels. I think that Game Pass will continue to exist. I think that some Microsoft studios will keep making games for PC and PS5, but at this point, it sounds like everybody, both fans and developers, are done with Xbox. But let's discuss. Hi, hope you're having a great day, and if you could please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Now, there has been a big instigating event. A lot of people are discussing this quote where essentially somebody that's working on Phantom Blade Zero said, "Nobody needs Xbox." There have been a lot of rumblings because we're starting to see more and more games that are even AA or AAA completely skip the Xbox, not even getting a delayed version of the game or a downgraded version of the game. They're just straight up saying it's not worth it. So these people that are working on Black Myth Wukong and Phantom Blade Zero, they were discussing stuff with the media, and they said nobody needs that platform when asked if they were being paid for an exclusivity agreement. Now, there have been a lot of rumors, specifically from this podcast, the Xbox 2. This is Jez Corden and this gentleman, Randall Thor. They're guys that talk a lot about the state of Xbox and the industry. And Jez Corden keeps claiming that the problem is stuff on the back end. It's that, in this case, he claimed that Phantom Blade Zero was paid to be exclusive to PS5, even though the developer said that just isn't the case. He claimed Black Myth Wukong is delayed on Xbox because they're being paid by Sony. That just seems like probably, if that's true, the developers are denying it, which I think is illegal. He's also said the reason that all these Capcom games like Monster Hunter Stories and Marvel vs. Capcom and Ace Attorney, these are all skipping Xbox because of MT Framework. The problem here is the fact that I don't think anybody wants to invest in Xbox because it doesn't seem like Microsoft is investing in Xbox. So this is the biggest Xbox podcast in the world, Podcast Unlocked. These gentlemen here are very good at defending Xbox, and I don't mean that as a detriment, or I'm not trying to be divisive. I'm just saying these gentlemen are able to always find a positive path. Like when stuff is good or stuff is bad, they're definitely good at finding the bright side of Xbox, but this week, they kind of got the Xbox fans incredibly pissed off when they acknowledged the fact that Xbox, from a sales standpoint, the hardware is literally dead. The last 2 years, things are going down and down and down. To this newest time, literally in the last 2 quarters, they're down 73%. Like 27 months of double-digit sales decline is completely unsalvageable, and Destin Legary specifically, the gentleman here in the middle, he's getting a lot of heat. People are not exactly excited about his take because he kind of hints at the fact that it doesn't really make sense for Xbox to continue to make new hardware. Making consoles is incredibly expensive for like 15 different reasons, because it's not just inventing the consoles, creating the chips, making the factories, having storage warehouses full of the systems themselves, making deals with distributors and putting it into physical actual stores and stuff like that. Running the console business is ridiculously expensive to the number of billions of dollars, and at this point, people just aren't buying Xboxes at all. And it's getting to a point, I'm sure, where Microsoft is looking at their Xbox division and saying, okay, why? Why would we continue to do this? And I love his quote here where he said, you can like Xbox and you can like their console and still admit that another quarter of 42% decline in sales year on year is bad. I love the Xbox Series X, but at this point, I'm wondering if it will even match the Xbox One. This is alarm bells. Even if you love Xbox, even if you are a huge fan of what Microsoft is attempting to do, I think it's time to sort of start looking for an exit plan. Now, a lot of people in the comment section, this was originally posted to the PlayStation 5 subreddit, and I find it interesting that a lot of people are discussing the problem that came up here from a developer standpoint is Microsoft's obsession with this two-tier system. The Xbox Series S, which is cheaper, which is just straight up all digital, and it doesn't have as good a graphics versus the Xbox Series X, which is more powerful, more expensive, and I mean, honestly, better. But the thing is that they required this perfect parity, meaning that every single feature that exists on the Xbox Series X must exist on the Xbox Series S. And so a lot of developers are starting to say, I would rather skip it. It's easier to make stuff on the PS5. It's going to sell literally 50 times more on the PS5, or even if you're going to put it on a PC, really focus on making it a PC game as best as possible. I think it's interesting that this quote seems to have ruffled a lot of feathers because Xbox is a big pillar of the entire gaming industry, and it has been now for 20 years. I almost feel like I am in a very strange spot because I think the failure of Xbox is going to kill a lot of developers, a lot of ideas, a lot of plans. And I want to explain that because I think a lot of people are kind of cheering on the failure of Xbox and mocking the fact that obviously PlayStation 5, PlayStation gets so many games, first party and third party exclusives. Like, it's crazy that a lot of these games are just made by developers that are exclusive simply because they know it would sell. Whereas Xbox, this is being hyperbolic. This is definitely a meme, but this guy is kind of pointing out the fact that we're getting less and less Xbox games. This is what Xbox considers games now. Like, this is the kind of stuff they're kind of hyping up as first party. World of Warcraft expansions, Towerborn, Aura, History Untold, Age of Mythology. I am almost nervous that the industry thrives with competition. I do think that part of what helped the gaming industry begin to sort of become more mainstream during the Super Nintendo or SNES was the Sega does what Nintendo don't. It was the talk, it was the trash talk, it was the rivalry that encouraged developers to make better games on lower budgets faster to higher sales and sillier marketing and stuff like that. And I do think that the success of the PlayStation 2 in a lot of ways is because of the success of the original Xbox. These companies completely just improve each other. Iron sharpens iron, as the ancient saying goes. And I'm almost afraid about when Xbox dies, when this slate begins to dry up, when these numbers just become less and less profitable and Microsoft just starts quietly canceling more games and shuttering more studios, I'm curious to see how that affects PC, how that affects PlayStation, how that affects Nintendo. When there is one less competitor, when there's one less platform that games can even exist on, I think this could lead to some very, very bad things. I am nervous because even if you love PlayStation, even if you are one of those people that's like, I've already picked the winning team, I don't care what happens to Xbox or Nintendo, I think we should be concerned about what happens here in about 5 years. I have been talking now for a very long time about the failure of Xbox, and I've gotten a lot of hate for it, and I don't mind that. I know I like that quote that says, people get mad if you're right too early. The fact that I've been talking about how bad this business plan is and how unprofitable Game Pass is, I've been talking about this now for pretty much since this stuff existed, because it's been so painfully obvious. And I'm almost sad to be correct because I do think that this is going to make everything worse. PlayStation will get more lazy when they don't have to compete with any Xbox games. Like right now, the fact that we're getting less big, giant first-party stuff, I mean, honestly, They just delayed Avowed, and I'll be honest, I'm super sad about that. I've talked about this multiple times in videos. Avowed, to me, looked like literally the best Xbox game of 2024 by a long shot, and now it's just getting delayed to 2025. We still don't have a release date for Starfield's DLC or Indiana Jones or any of this stuff. I am getting to a point where I am nervous about the fact that when Xbox dies, how many of these studios become other studios? How many of these developers go on to make different projects? It feels like the industry is beginning to shrink for the first time in my adult life. I feel like we're actually seeing less creativity, less art, less excitement, and a lot less sales. And I think that's going to lead to a dramatic decrease in the games we love. But these have just been some off-the-cuff thoughts because honestly, I am a bit nervous. I'm not trying to crystal ball it too much, but if we end up seeing an implosion in the gaming industry, I'm definitely not happy about it. I think once they announce the PlayStation 6 and Xbox announces they're leaving the gaming industry, by then the Nintendo Switch 2 will already be out and be a big success. I'm not happy about where things are going because I think it's going to be bad for us. I think there's going to be higher console sales. I think they're going to make systems more expensive, games more expensive, services more expensive, and they're not going to become better for it. But these are just some off-the-cuff thoughts. Be sure to like the video and subscribe if you haven't already, and please keep dreaming. And also, I just want to throw this out here. Stop hating on these guys. I know, obviously, I've blocked some of these people on Twitter and stuff like that. Destin Gary's a real nice guy. My point is the fact that when Xbox guys talk bad about Xbox, when Nintendo guys bag on Nintendo, or when PlayStation guys bag on PlayStation, it feels like their own fan bases almost have this weird cult-like mentality of stay in line. The amount of people that are bagging on Destin for literally reading sales numbers, a bit weird to me, a little bizarre.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.